Hi there, I'm Mark Semenchuk, CEO of Seductive Mobile. I'm here today with Mark Turrell, CEO and founder of Vork. He is a really successful CEO entrepreneur with exits. He's also a professor at the Cloud Business School. So, Mark, could you tell a bit about the idea behind the Vork application that you're working on?
I have a 25-year plan to change the entire world for better. All of it at the same time, ideally without anybody knowing that it's me. And one of the reasons why I'm in year 9 of my plan. And one of the things that I found why I'm confident to actually make change in the world at scale is that I've realized traveling around the world, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Lebanon, whether it's Argentina, particularly in communities like World Economic Forum communities that I'm a member of, there are problems that exist, but there are always people that have addressed the problems before and have solutions to those problems. So, not just my plan to change the world, but I've been obsessed about solving this connection problem, obsessed about it. Because it occurred to me that, you go to a conference, you can have an incredible experience, but if you sit at the wrong table at dinner, you won't get the right connection. Or you're at the right table, but if you have a conversation about the weather, and you don't talk about work, what it is your challenges are, you'd never know that there was a connection. So the idea that I had behind Vork was, how can I pretty much have a way to allow people within trusted networks, so a certain type of like communities that exist, professional associations, companies, trade associations, where there's a level of trust of the people in there already, and also a level of interest in each other already. How do you find a way of connecting and sharing? And then the other thing that it begins to become really quite special with it is what interface is there that allows people to make it fun, make it super useful, and then in whatever 4 minutes of free time you can get something productive out and get yourself out to help others. So that was when, and it wasn't me that did it. Do you know Tinder? Yeah. Do you have Tinder in okay. So when I first saw Tinder, I was not looking at it, and I still don't look at it as a dating application. I look at it as a way of processing large amounts of content with tags. And when you tie it to a machine learning system, you can have this way of making connections with content super fast. So yeah, there was just a big conference, and people calling it Tinder for networks. So this is the idea behind Vork is how we make connections, solve problems faster, and we had the sort of special interfaces to make it.
I see. I know you're a fan of the Hollywood film company's model. Could you tell a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things, and I actually started off being very intrigued by microservice architecture, but it turns out microservice architecture is not as sexy as Angelina Jolie. We're sexy technology people, really? Okay, maybe not. But so the thing is that in the Hollywood business, in the 1920s, the movie studios owned the land, they owned the buildings, and they owned the stars. Now a Hollywood movie studio doesn't even have to own the movie. So I've become fascinated by how a business, like my business is one, how we can pretty much rethink doing business so that we don't have to have full-time employees getting into the office at 9 to 5. We can think about breaking up pieces of the businesses into components and finding the best or the most available or that sort of special talent, and then find ways of stitching it all together. So for me, my business is definitely a Hollywood model of business. I have an engineering team. My engineering team just don't live where I am, and none of them are employed by me technically. But at the same time, they are my team.
Okay, I see. So, if I got you right, some amount of time you understood that you need to find an engineering team, right? So, what was your past? What were the challenges in finding the optimal team for your development?
So, I've built software for about 20 years, and actually, the process that I'm going through now is probably one of the easiest, painless processes that I've gone through. So, as an entrepreneur, when you have an idea for a product or a thing, you need to build it. Somebody needs to actually build it, and something that's 80% built is worthless. Even 93% built is worthless. So, you need to build product. Well, in this day and age, so I can't code. I write books, I can't code. Right now, everything needs to be mobile. You need to have a backend that could scale up to hundreds of thousands of people. You need to know how cloud works. It's like a whole bunch of skills. And for me, there was a I've got quite a few friends who've been developing software in the last, whatever, 2 or 3 years, and some of them have had the technical co-founder could code. Well, usually that's been tricky, because either the technical co-founder leaves halfway through, maybe they're not very good, maybe it turns out that they're building a language that they don't understand very well, or they need to have 3 or 4 times more people, but they don't have the money to go do it. So I thought about this thing in a different way. I said, look, I need a solution to my problem. So what I was looking for is that I had a product in mind. So for like the product development, the sort of product management, product formulation, that was coming from us. But I needed to have a technical partner, and it's like I needed the engineering partner, as I would do in a normal company. Somewhere where I could get not just the technical expertise and talent to deliver, but also the project management skills. Because otherwise I need to have a project manager for myself. I need them to have a toolkit so that they know how to work with each other. And I also need to have bench strength, so if somebody gets sick, I find another person to go do this thing. So I was looking to have an engineering team build it for me. It's sort of, and in speaking to my other tech friends, I'm extremely happy that I'm doing what I'm doing, because I listen to some of their horror stories and it's quite shocking. But no, I mean, right now, this way of like sort of working with a company, spending a good amount of time at the beginning, and maybe we can talk about that later, about how to work with somebody in this, and to make sure there was alignment from both sides. You working with me and vice versa, so that we can build something together in a very reasonable, fair, and cost-effective way.
Okay, so around a year ago we started to work together, which we're really happy to do. And why have you chosen us in the first place, and what are our takes after this time?
So I can share, I mean, if you're interested, I can tell you like sort of how I did this thing. So once I made the decision that I had a good product, so I wrote my MVP line spec, 3-page spec. I then used my trusted network to recommend different options. And I think I had 8 vendors that it went out to. So one of 8. And there was like sort of India, Portugal, Berlin, a few from Ukraine as well. And I wasn't, because this was a brand new product, I didn't specify a technology stack, so I was actually relatively open. I had a budget in my head, but I didn't tell everybody what the budget was, because I had a certain amount of money that I could go spend. When it started to come back, some of the companies didn't respond in a timely way. Well, if you want my business and it takes you 2 weeks to respond back to me, if you deliver software like that, I can work with you. So some of them, let's say, failed at very early stages, and sometimes the price was just outside the boundaries of what I could afford to get. But what I was really interested in then was, so you guys came up with like a good sort of a key price point, but it was also then how to start working. So I don't have a lot of trust, just like naturally. I trust deliverables. So for me, it's not a case like Max is an awesome guy, you're a pretty cool guy. It's like if you actually do the work on time, that's actually what I really need. So it's like Hollywood style. Right? So we had the first UX sprint. So doing modeling, we had a fixed period of time. Also, you're able to say, let's get started next week to do that piece of work, which is also really, really good for me, because then I could show progress, and I was also finishing off raising money at the time as well. And my view about starting off like this sort of an outtake or like an insight was that I wanted to make sure that I didn't spend all of my money and not get anything. So by having a period of 3 weeks at the beginning with a deliverable that was valuable to me, even if you guys weren't there after, like working UX and all that stuff. And also a more detailed budget about what it was really going to cost. That for me was absolutely worth every single penny that I had. Because the other thing was that, to be very honest, I was kind of stuck. Because if you don't have in-house a UX person, if you don't have in-house a business modeling, if you don't know how much it takes to build blah, 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 you kind of can't go to the next stage. So to have somebody that was able to work with me immediately to handle it was brilliant. Really, really good.
Sounds good. So, what do you think about this year? Whether it's a good choice at all?
Well, I will be doing more work with you. That already, says a lot. And part of the reason I'm doing more work is not just the work that was done, but I see that you've got some great new hires into the team. I look at some of the other projects that you're doing, and there's some really cool projects. So you guys are sort of doing some really cool, good stuff, and you're executing. So I have no reason to move, and in fact it's the opposite. I mean, I have reason to do more. And so that's what I'm planning to do. I'm planning to do a sort of quick hit update to the existing app. And by the way, you should download it. It's called Vork, V-O-R-K. Hopefully, somewhere on this web pagey thing, maybe down there, it says download Vork now. Which is very good, excellent. But then it's also, I have a vision for what's going to happen next. And so we'll be designing the future UX and data flows. And then we can also then begin to price out what the development look like afterwards.
Sounds good.
But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you guys and the whole team as well. And yeah, look at the app, it's great. Good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.